Hi, this is Patty Hodge, and this is Dr. Nurses Rock. I have a very special guest with us today, and I'm so thrilled that Miss Patti Elrod-Hill from the Elrod-Hill Law Firm, in Peachtree Corners, Georgia, has agreed to come and talk with this little community today about what I think is a very important topic, which is estate planning.
Mhm.
Patty started life as an English teacher turned attorney. Her undergraduate degree is from South Dakota State University and a Juris Doctor from Washington University State of Law in 1989. She's been practicing here in Georgia since 1989. She's worked in the Department of Veterans Affairs as an attorney to help veterans. Patty has earned a designation as a certified elder law attorney, which is how I found her when I was
Mhm.
looking to do work for a trust for my assets.
Mhm.
So, she's an active member of the Elder Council, Wealth Council, the Academy of Special Needs Planners, and the National Academy of Elder Law Attorneys, all organizations of top professionals committed to the highest standards of practice excellence.
Mhm.
So welcome, Patty.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here. So for the benefit of people who have never heard of estate planning,
Uh-huh.
could you let us know what that is and why it's important?
So estate planning is basically planning for yourself and planning for your assets. And simply, estate planning is really for you to decide who will have control and access to you personally and to your assets at different periods of your life and then after your death. So people always say to me, I don't have a big estate. Why would I need to do estate planning? But an estate is actually everything that you have. And so everybody has something that they probably need to plan for. So estate planning is planning throughout your lifetime. And it may be that the plan changes based on where you're at in life and how much you do have, but everyone does have an estate and does need to plan for it. So,
So I found you through this organization that you
uh-huh,
are certified through. And I was given that advice by an attorney in the state where I used to live who dealt with my
uh-huh,
grandparents.
uh-huh.
And so I know because of my own profession that to be certified is the thing to look for when you're looking for the right person for you.
Yeah.
So how would people in this community find the right person for that? How would they know they have the right attorney?
Well, the certification for elder law attorneys, I don't know if you've looked recently, but there are very few of us in Georgia. There's probably about 9 or 10 of us now. And being a certified elder law attorney requires a certain number of years of practice, and it requires taking an exam, studying for the exam. And the exam, it was quite daunting actually, and so it's kind of like a baby bar exam in a lot of ways, focusing on different aspects of estate planning, but also elder law. Um, so, but really, to choose an attorney for estate planning, I think they do need to have experience. You would need to also um, have a meeting with them and just see how you feel about working with somebody who's doing your estate plan, because it is a very personal thing.
Yeah.
Um, as you know, when we talk a lot about things in your life that you may need to face when you're doing estate planning. And so we want to make sure that you feel comfortable with that estate planning attorney.
So you did touch on this idea that people might not think that they have a lot of
Mm-hmm.
assets. And I was thinking about the communities that I used to work with, which were very impoverished, basically people that were seriously mentally ill and really didn't
Right.
have much, but they did have more than they thought they did. They had, possibly even animals that they were caring
Mm-hmm.
for, pets, or, some had a car, some,
Right.
so there are things to think about. And nobody likes to think about dying.
Yeah.
but we are an aging population,
Hmm.
and it is a reality of life. And so to pay attention to your finances has also been a focus of mine here on the channel because we've
Hmm.
done some things about self-care, which is really what this is about, and
Right.
evidence-based self-care. So we're really taking care of yourself when you look at your finances.
Right. Right. And what I did want to say also is that while we talk about estate planning as if it's only at death, estate planning, a good estate plan, also takes an account of who will have access to you and control. If you become injured, if you become incapacitated at some point, if you're not able to manage your finances. And so people who say, I don't have a lot, but if you're not able to manage what you do have at some point in time, then we have to get court intervention to find somebody to do that. And in order to avoid that and to have peace of mind, people should really take into consideration an estate plan that does address the potential for incapacity as
Yes.
well.
Yeah. So you deal with people who have disabilities,
Hmm. Yes,
and with, I guess, with throughout the lifespan, basically. Uh,
right.
what what specifically with someone with a disability? What do you think they would come to you for? What were they trying to protect?
So, well, most people will have, even if they have a disability, they may be on Social Security,
Okay.
but they still have to pay bills and they still have to manage their finances, even if those finances are small.
Right.
If you don't have an estate plan in place, if you don't have someone who is designated as an agent to make financial or healthcare decisions for you, then, like I said earlier, we have to go to court and have somebody appointed. And that can take a lot of time. It can be very emotionally damaging because there have to be allegations in a courtroom about someone's inability to care for themselves. So, my recommendation is always that we take care of that in advance so that we're not scrambling if you do become incapacitated for whatever reason. And I always use the example when people come to see me. I say, well, you might drive out of here and get hit by a bus.
Mm,
And if you are incapacitated and you're not able to pay your bills, somebody has to be able to access whatever accounts you may have or whatever resources you do have to take care of you. And so, we just recommend that for people with disabilities, that we plan for that somebody may have to, in fact, step in and make decisions for that person.
yes, I think when in your working for us here,
Hmm.
we did go over not only the trust that I wanted to establish for
Uh-huh.
assets, but also a healthcare proxy,
Hmm.
sort of what you're talking about here, and then a power of attorney, which
Right,
gives people some access to whatever funds might be needed in an
right.
emergency. Um, and probably something else that I'm definitely not remembering at this point, because it is
Yeah.
it's a daunting process for people that don't really know what they're walking into.
Right. And it's emotional. People don't want to think about that at some point in their life they may have an incapacity or they may have a disability. That's a difficult thing to think about for most people. So, but I just kind of tell people if we do it now, we don't really have to, we may not have to do it again
Right.
for a period of time.
I do
So,
have to say that it created a great deal of peace of mind for me.
hmm.
People who have been watching me know that I just turned 70.
Uh-huh.
And although I'm not old, I am old
Yeah.
enough. And I did have some things already established for myself, but we redid them.
Right.
And that gave me this idea of what might happen because I started that process when I was living in another state.
Uh-huh.
So that's another question I think that people have because people from all over the world watch this and they're not
Right.
necessarily living in Georgia. So tell me a little bit about how that works in other places.
So the estate planning is basically planning for everything that you have and for your lifetime. But each state has their own laws and each state has their own system. So even though most estate plans, most states will, I'm going to say, if you have a will in Georgia and you move to another state, most states will honor that will. but sometimes states have little weird quirks. And I always talk about Georgia because we have kind of a strange one here. When you do a will and you have to sign it, and you have to sign it in front of two witnesses, and you sign it in front of a notary, and there's an affidavit that goes along with that. And in Georgia, it basically says that all of the witnesses and the person, the testator who's signing the will, are all over the age of 14, right? Most states will say they're over the age of 18. And for some reason, Georgia cannot figure out that 18 is more than 14. So, so we've had many wills that we've had to go back and find witnesses just because of that quirk in the Georgia law. So what I tell people is that most likely if something happens and you're in another state, your will is going to work. But once you move, you will want to make sure that you do check with an attorney just to make sure there isn't something odd about the law that you need to know.
Yeah.
But if somebody comes to from another state, or I've had people that have done their own wills, which personally, this is why I don't recommend it. So they will take an affidavit from another state and think it will work in Georgia.
I see.
And so, I try to tell people, I'm sorry, there are just these weird quirks in the state that you need to be aware of. And that's true for most states. The law is going to be slightly different. It's from state to state. So
we're protecting ourselves wherever we go, under
correct.
whatever circumstances
Right.
that occurred in our lives.
Right.
And we have wonderful people like you who do it right for
Um,
us. Let's hope that people can find a really good attorney wherever they are. And so obviously, at the time that we spoke in the beginning, I felt that you would be right for me. I see how respectful you are, and how you really
yeah.
listen to what the needs are, and how you made all these recommendations. And I love your staff. I'm going to give TJ a plug.
Yeah, she's great, isn't she?
Um, so thank you so much. Is there something that I should have asked you in this conversation?
I think perhaps we want to talk a little bit about what happens if you don't have an estate plan in
Yes.
place. So, because that is what people have an anxiety about, is on the one hand, they don't want to do any planning, but on the other hand, they're worried about what happens if they don't plan. So I'll just tell you that if you don't make a plan, so especially with a will, if you do not have a will, then Georgia has already made a decision about where your assets will go at the time of your death. And so, you want to make sure that you do a will so that you can choose. And here's what I'll say. So generally, a will is a document where you would nominate somebody to make decisions about your stuff after your death. And within that will, you would then tell that person, who's called a personal representative, what you want to have them do with your stuff, right, with your estate. And so if you don't do a will, you don't have that opportunity to choose who will be your personal representative and where your assets will go. And so in Georgia, if you die without a will and you are married, your assets, if you own assets individually, those don't automatically go to your spouse. If you have children, if you have a spouse and children, it's actually divided among the spouse and the children. The spouse would get no less than a third, but that could end up with the spouse owning a home with their children.
I see.
Right? And so, yeah, and the same with other assets. So it would mean that the spouse may not get everything. So if your wish was to leave everything to your spouse, you would want to make sure you do a will so that happens. And the same with children. If you have minor children, then you need to do a will, because that is the place where you can nominate a guardian for your child. If you don't nominate a guardian, then it could be a free-for-all at the time of your death if you have minor children who need a guardian, because then there are maybe many people trying to get guardianship of that child,
Right.
with no clear no clear guidance for the court because you haven't provided that to them. So, yeah,
And that seems like a nightmare situation. You're already grieving. Your family's already sad that you're gone.
right,
You're probably not thinking clearly. They don't know what to do with all of this other
right,
stuff, and it may just be ripped out from underneath them, whether they realize that or not.
right. When I have parents with minor children, with the young children, they are so worried about who they should choose that they almost can't make a decision. So, what I tell them sometimes is you're making your wishes for who should not be the guardian as much as for who should be the guardian.
Yes.
And you're not going to, it's not going to be it's not going to be a perfect person. They won't have the exact same ideas about parenthood as you do, but at least you get to choose.
And that's crucial when we're talking about
Yeah,
young children.
yeah.
And I this a story that I have is right after 9/11 in New York.
Hmm.
I decided I would put a will together, and I was still a young woman. And I
Uh-huh.
went to my grandmother's attorney because that's the only one I really knew at the time.
Uh-huh.
And he kept asking me, "Are you okay?
Oh.
Are you hiding some like terminal illness or something?"
Oh,
But no, I was not. I was just concerned that I was a single parent at that point,
right.
divorced, and I had minor children, and I wanted to make sure that they would be provided for in a safe
Yeah.
home. Yeah. So I guess as a nurse, I have like the end goal of life always in the back of my mind. Like we're
Right.
here for a short time, and I know that we want to get things done here, and then we're going to
Yeah.
depart. So for me, it's not that difficult, but for a lot of people, it's a hard thing to face. And
Well, it is, and I think we talked about that you focus on a lot of times we focus on the end of life, but also when we have children and they become adults at the age of 18, I think people don't realize that as soon as that child turns 18, you don't have the legal authority to tell them what to do or to manage their assets or to even manage their health care if they don't want you to. And so, I tell people, especially when their children go away to college, you need to have them do a financial power of attorney to appoint you so that you can manage their finances if you need to step in.
sure, and then also the for their illnesses
Hmm.
that what is it, that proxy, healthcare proxy.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is a huge consideration, and we had to
Right.
deal with that ourselves when the youngest one went off to college this past year.
Uh-huh.
So you really do take care of people from most of their life, really. We're talking about young children that need to be protected.
Right.
We're talking about people that are just raising children and may have something happen to them. We have veterans who've had
Hmm.
gone through a specific kind of trauma and experience in life,
Right.
wanting to make sure that they get what they deserve. And then, of course, all the way to the elder person. So you're really performing this amazing service in the world. And I think whenever I thought of an attorney, I always got frightened.
Yeah.
Like
I
I,
think people always think we're a little tricky or
well,
but
just the way that I know a lot in
yeah,
my field, you know what you need to know to do.
right.
And people most often don't want to have to go there, I think, in some regards. Like we don't want to have to deal with the criminal system, or you don't have to deal with and so it's a bit daunting to
Yeah.
say I'm going to find an attorney. But you did make that process really helpful and easy for me, and I wanted
Oh,
to
I'm
thank
glad to
you
hear
for
that.
that.
Yeah.
And so this was for me. We're here about 15 minutes or so talking,
Uh-huh.
and if it's okay with you, if there's anything else that you think I should have asked you, um, come on and let's talk about it. We have a few more minutes.
Well, so we do estate planning. We didn't talk a little bit about planning for long-term care,
Let's do that.
which, yeah, so that's also a big part of what we do in our practice. Not only we do some Medicaid planning, so some people that are going to require nursing home may require nursing home care at some point, and they need to find a way to pay for it. So we do some Medicaid planning. As you said, we also can help with veterans, but really a lot of it is just having that conversation about that what do you want to do when you need long-term care? You know, how can you tell your family now what you want? And how can you make sure that there's somebody available to make decisions for you when you do need long-term care? It's a big part of my practice now because my clients, even though I have clients from, you know, children to all through adulthood, I would say that most of my clients now are probably over 60. And I've been seeing more people in their 90s than when I first started. Didn't have many clients at all in the 90s, and now I have a lot of 90-year-olds, and I've had some 100-year-olds, and we're still,
Wow,
you know, still planning because life changes
absolutely.
and people have to make different decisions at different times in their lives. So,
That's that is the aging population. That is what
mhm.
we've talked about. And nursing care can bankrupt a family, unfortunately.
It's it is
Catastrophic.
very expensive. Long-term care is very expensive. So we try to help people. We don't sell any long-term care products, but we do, you know, occasionally refer to people that do to
Mm.
help, you know, people plan for long-term care. But a lot of it is just sitting down and really being realistic about what choices are you going to have to make.
So this has been, I think, very enlightening for people that maybe never heard the word estate planning,
Right.
and the idea that they can protect what's important to them by finding the right legal
Yeah.
representation. And that it's important to have this conversation no matter what, because
Right.
anything can happen at any time to anybody.
Yeah.
And it is a form of caring not only for yourself, but for the people that you love,
Right.
and making sure that their plans are made for them as well.
Right.
So this is, to me, a wonderful service that you provide. And I don't know if anybody in Georgia will see this,
Yeah.
but certainly will. It may spark some conversations among the people that watch this. And I'm
Right.
hoping that if anybody has found information here in this video that they didn't know or that
Hmm.
really is helpful to them, that they'll hit the like button. And
Okay.
they'll make a comment and they'll say, "Oh, gee, I didn't know this, and I'm going to run out
Right.
now and take care of this."
Yeah.
And if they haven't subscribed yet, please just hit the subscribe button,
Yeah.
and you'll get better, nice content like this of people that are
Yeah.
really care about you, that want to hear more about how to take care of themselves properly.
Okay.
So this has been a wonderful thing for me. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. I've enjoyed it.
And maybe you'll come back. If people have questions, I'll give you a call and say,
Yeah,
"Hey,
give me a call. I'd love to come back and be a little more in depth about estate planning if
I
somebody
love
wants
that."
to.
Whatever you
Okay.
think would happen, that would make
Yeah.
people happy and help
Yeah.
them. I do
Okay.
appreciate it. So
All
bye for
right.
now. Thank you.
Okay.